Welcome to Screw the Commute, the entrepreneurial podcast dedicated to getting you out of the car and into the money. With your host, lifelong entrepreneur and multimillionaire, Tom Antion.
Hey everybody, it's Tom here with episode 1001. 1001 of Screw the Commute podcast. And this is going to be how to have a successful podcast. As you know, we just reached 1,000 episodes, and I want to just give you an idea of how that happened. You know, this is one of 0.25% of all podcasts has ever made it this far. But I'm going to tell you how you don't have to hit 1,000 episodes to really do good and have a successful podcast. All right, hope you didn't miss episode 1,000. That was the leadership skills loosely based on the eulogy I did for my dad, Sam Antion, back in the year 2000. It's about a 90-minute one, and I call it pretty much my best work ever. It's not the hardcore, how to email market and all the stuff that I do, but it's principles that I think would do you, your children, and grandchildren and everything really well. All right, pick up a copy of our automation ebook at screwthecommute.com/automate free. And you've heard me say that for 1,001 episodes now, but version 3.0 is out. So if you're still on version 2, then you want to get rid of it and grab this 3.0, screwthecommute.com/automate free. And check out my mentor program at greatinternetmarketingtraining.com and my school at imtcva.org. I do a lot of other podcast interviews, over 1,000 radio and TV and podcast interviews. And I frequently get asked, Tom, what is the key to your success? And, you can go a lot of ways with that. And success is different for everybody. I would have to say, especially in my business, is consistency and persistency. That's always my answer, is I'm consistent. You can know what to expect from me, other than when I do funny stuff, then I get a little goofy, and then I'm persistent. I just won't, I scratch and crawl till I get the success I'm looking for. And most of these podcasts, so this is how to have a successful podcast, this episode. And most podcasts come into what we call pod fade, PODFADE. And that's probably why ChatGPT did some research for me and said that the average podcast quits after 10 episodes. Okay, so we're at 1,001 right now. So why is this? Well, I have several theories on why this is the case. And one is that people aren't consistent and persistent. That's one. But why aren't they is the question. Well, a couple reasons that I've come up with is that they go for sponsorship too soon, and that just doesn't make any sense in the real world. See, when sponsors decide they want to sponsor your podcast or advertise on your podcast, they typically pay between $12 and $18 per 1,000 downloads per episode. It's really, really hard to get 1,000 downloads in any episode. You could go a year and not achieve that goal. And so even if you got that goal, how many sponsors are going to be interested in you? And they're only paying you $12 to $18. And you can't have 10 different sponsors on one episode. Nobody would listen anymore. See, so you could go a year and make $12 to $18, which is just bizarrely crazy. It's no wonder people quit, because they think I'm just going to get out on the airwaves. Then sponsors will give me money, and that's how it's going to pay for itself and make me a lot of money. Well, it just does not work that way in the real world. So after you do, your 10 episodes and nobody is interested in you to give you money, then you quit. Right? Or most people quit, put it that way. So going for sponsorship is ridiculous in the beginning, unless you're already a celebrity. That's a whole different animal. You're not Joe Rogan. You're not Michelle Obama or somebody that's well known, see? If you are, then you can probably do this, but most aren't. So I suggest that you're your own sponsor. That's why Screw the Commute was profitable from the first episode, because I'm my own sponsor. I could sell one ebook from the first episode and make more money than you could make from sponsorship in 6 months or a year. See? That's the cold, hard reality of this. So be your own sponsor. Do the podcast to promote yourself, although it has to be quality or nobody will listen to it if all you're doing is bragging about yourself. And you can see, if you've been around this long, that I just give solid, usable information. And yeah, I'll say, hey, check out my school, check out my mentor program, but it doesn't dominate the whole podcast, see? So you can be your own sponsor. It's so easy to make a digital product nowadays and sell it for $20, $30. And you're already ahead of the game. Sell 10 of them and you made several $100s for that episode. See? And when that happens for you, you won't fade. You'll say, oh, well, I'm going to do another podcast because I want that $200, $300. Yeah, see? So that's one thing of why I think there's pod fade, is people try to go for sponsorship that's not there. It doesn't make any sense, but they don't know any better. And so they quit. All right. So that's the first thing. Be your own sponsor. Then the second thing is they think they're too good to do the work to produce the podcast, or they're too lazy to do the work to produce the podcast. Are you aware that every episode, 1001 episodes, well, I haven't done this one yet, but I will when I'm done talking to you, plus 5 or 6 youth episodes we've done, special episodes, I have edited each one of them. And you say, that's stupid, Tom. Why would you do that? Why don't you just farm it out? Well, think about this. 1,000 episodes times maybe $100 to farm it out to somebody to edit the thing to my standards. Well, how much is that? 50 or $100 times 1,000 episodes, $100,000. All right. So that doesn't make any sense either. And people can't believe, well, I can't edit stuff. Well, here's a couple things. Yes, you could with a little bit of training. If you sat here and watched me, how lightning fast I can go. And basically, I'm just taking out bad parts. If I say or ah, or I clear my throat, then I edit that out. And it's just lightning fast. You would be amazed how easy it is to edit audio. Yes, you can easily learn to edit audio for free if you use Audacity. I happen to use Adobe Audition, which costs me $20 a month to use it as a service. So I don't download the program. I just log on to it. Again, editing audio is just really, really easy. You're just taking out bad stuff and leaving the good stuff. I mean, the guy that taught me this 25 years ago, Mike Stewart, the internet audio guy, he says, hey, audio editing is easy. He says, he's got this southern drawl. He says, what you do is you record something and then you cut out what's bad and what's left is good. And that's all you're doing. I cut out any ums and ahs and loud breaths and lip smacks. And I mean, it's just so easy to do. Now, if you're doing a video podcast, hey, I didn't even bother with that because you have the visual aspect. Nobody notices the ums and ahs so much, and you might be interviewing somebody else. And so you don't even have any editing on those. So don't be spending $100 an episode. And it's no wonder people quit. You know, they don't get any money from sponsorship. They're not sponsoring themselves, and they're paying $100 an episode to get it produced and put out. Yeah, I get that. It doesn't make any sense. People fade. They quit. All right. Don't do that. Learn how to edit. And so it doesn't cost much to produce the thing. And you want to get a podcast hosting service like Libsyn, Libsyn. That can be from $5 to $20 a month for the gold standard of podcast hosting. And if you're doing it on YouTube, it costs you nothing. Okay? So it costs virtually nothing to have a good quality podcast. And you just have to do it. And, forget about sponsors. Be your own sponsor. And any editing, if it's just audio, learn to do it yourself. I mean, like I said, 1,000 episodes, as busy as I am with this big company and all the other stuff I got going on and all the students I got to handle and help, I still, bam, 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 I'm gonna edit this podcast and send it off to Libsyn, and there you go. So that's how you have a successful podcast. You of course, you have to have a topic somebody wants to hear about and so forth. So that's a different story. But I'm just saying it's consistency, persistency, be your own sponsor. Don't spend hardly anything at all on production. Now you have to have a decent microphone, but that's about it, really. I mean, I have fancy equipment and an expensive microphone, but I didn't start that way. I had just, whatever junk I could plug into the computer. All right. So you can do this. All right, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Make sure you listen to that last episode, 1000, screwthecommute.com/1000. Pass it along to your kids, your grandchildren, and if they do the things in that, great things are ahead of them. All right, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Check out my mentor program, greatinternetmarketingtraining.com, if you want help with all of this stuff on a one-on-one basis. All right, catch you later.